Watch closely, no one expected her next move. The young martial artist, a poised and focused African-American girl in her late teens, adjusts her GI, tying the belt snugly around her waist while exhaling deeply, centering herself as the morning sun filters through the gym's large windows, casting warm patterns on the polished floor. Her eyes locking onto the approaching master instructor, a confident white man in his early 40s wearing a pristine black belt and demonstrating impeccable posture, both of them standing on the training mats that have seen countless hours of discipline and dedication, the gym around them buzzing softly with the low hum of fellow students stretching, warming up, and watching anticipation thick in the air. The young martial artist takes a slow, deliberate step forward, her hands raised in a defensive position, a calm yet determined expression across her face, while the master instructor mirrors her stance, eyes gleaming with a mixture of challenge and curiosity, the tension building with every heartbeat as they prepare for a friendly spar. The scene capturing a precise moment in time where skill, confidence, and respect are equally matched. The instructor speaks softly but with authority, suggesting a light sparring session for fun. His voice cutting through the quiet murmur of the gym. The young martial artist nods subtly, acknowledging the challenge without a word, her posture unchanging but her focus sharpening, muscles tensing and relaxing rhythmically, aware of every inch of space between them, every subtle shift in balance. The camera would pan across the observing students, faces reflecting a mix of surprise, curiosity, and admiration, each person silently predicting the possible outcome, the girl's calm determination contrasting with the instructor's confident demeanor, creating an electric atmosphere. The sound of feet lightly brushing the mats, controlled breathing, and the subtle swish of fabric fills the air as she executes her first practice stance, knees slightly bent, weight evenly distributed, shoulders relaxed yet ready, eyes never leaving her opponent. The instructor mirrors her movement, adjusting, responding, each aware of the other's capabilities, the moment charged with potential, skill, and strategy poised to unfold in the next instant. The young martial artist's internal focus is palpable, a silent narrative of discipline, training, and mental fortitude, as the gym collectively holds its breath, witnessing a young African-American martial artist and her white master instructor preparing for a sparring session that promises an unexpected twist, a display of balance, agility, and respect for the craft, the anticipation so thick it feels almost tangible, the start of a sequence that will challenge assumptions and showcase talent. As the first step of the sparring match is taken, the mat beneath responding to each controlled motion, and the story begins to unfold with precision, intensity, and the quiet promise of surprise. 1-2. The gym air was thick with anticipation. The young African-American martial artist stood poised, muscles taut yet fluid, her eyes following every subtle movement of her white instructor as he demonstrated a series of precise techniques, the mats beneath them echoing faintly with the soft thud of controlled footwork, the sound of disciplined breathing blending with the quiet shuffle of other students, some whispering predictions while others held their breath in silent admiration. The instructor spoke calmly, guiding the pace, explaining the importance of balance and timing, his tone carrying authority without intimidation, the girl nodding attentively, absorbing each instruction and internalizing the strategy, her expression focused yet calm, a quiet confidence radiating from her as she practiced defensive blocks and deliberate steps, the sunlight streaming through the high windows catching the sheen of sweat on her forehead, highlighting the concentration etched in her features. The instructor adjusted his stance, demonstrating a defensive maneuver that she mirrored with precision, their movements perfectly synchronized for the moment, the surrounding students watching the exchange, sensing the tension and respect between mentor and student, the energy in the room building subtly as the anticipation of a sparring session lingered, the young martial artist visualizing each countermove and adjustment, muscles responding instinctively, mind sharp and alert, aware of every possible angle and reaction, the instructor observing, providing subtle corrections, the scene capturing a moment of learning, respect, and preparation, where skill and discipline were paramount, the gym filled with a quiet intensity, the two figures in focus embodying years of training, the connection between teacher and pupil creating a rhythm and flow, the girl's determination palpable as she prepared to step into a controlled sparring scenario, the instructor's confidence unwavering, a careful watchfulness present, ensuring safety and respect, every movement a lesson, every glance a measure of understanding. As the session progressed, the young martial artist's body moved with a practiced fluidity, feet shifting lightly across the mat, arms positioned defensively, her gaze never leaving the instructor's eyes, absorbing every expression, every subtle shift, readying herself for the next stage of learning and interaction. The room holding a collective sense of anticipation, respect, and admiration as these two dedicated practitioners engaged in a quiet, disciplined, and intensely focused preparation for what was to come, each aware of the unspoken dialogue occurring through movement, stance, and eye contact, a testament to discipline, focus, and mastery of their art, forming a dynamic and compelling scene in the heart of the gym. 1-2. The young martial artist took a deep breath, centering herself as she prepared for the next drill, the morning sunlight spilling across the polished mats and casting a warm glow on her determined face, the white instructor watching closely, offering encouragement and subtle guidance, his posture relaxed yet commanding, emphasizing precision and control. Other students moved around them, practicing their techniques, some glancing over with curiosity as the anticipation of a sparring exercise lingered in the air, the rhythmic sounds of shifting feet and quiet exhalations blending into a symphony of disciplined effort, each motion deliberate, each stance calculated. Young girl stepping forward with measured confidence, executing defensive and offensive movements with careful timing, her eyes focused on the instructor, mimicking his shifts, blocks, and precise strikes, the instructor nodding approvingly, occasionally offering a tip or correction, his voice calm yet authoritative, reinforcing the importance of discipline and awareness in martial arts. The energy in the gym steadily building as the session progressed, the young martial artist adjusting her stance to absorb subtle feedback, her muscles responding instinctively to the flow of movement, the synchronization between teacher and student creating an unspoken dialogue, a dance of skill and patience, the instructor demonstrating a complex maneuver and the girl following with fluid accuracy, the other students observing, inspired by the visible focus and dedication, the gym alive with quiet intensity, the interaction embodying years of training and respect for the art, every step and pivot, teaching resilience, strategy, and control, the girl feeling a surge of determination, her confidence growing with each precise movement, understanding the nuances of balance and timing, her body and mind working in harmony, the instructor maintaining a watchful presence, ensuring safety while fostering growth and learning, the moment capturing the essence of martial arts education, discipline, respect, and mastery converging into a compelling scene. The young martial artist fully immersed in the exercise, demonstrating poise, focus, and agility, her connection with the instructor deepening, every glance, shift, and measured breath a testament to the intensity and commitment of their shared practice, the atmosphere thick with anticipation, concentration, and mutual respect. As the session continued with unbroken focus, creating a vivid and captivating picture of skill, mentorship, and personal growth unfolding in real time. 1-2. The gym was alive with anticipation, the echo of footsteps and the soft thud of practice mats filling the space as the young martial artist prepared for a new challenge, her focus unwavering, muscles tense but controlled, eyes locked on the instructor who stood opposite her with a calm, commanding presence, demonstrating a sequence of precise movements that blended balance, timing, and agility, the students around them pausing in silent observation, the atmosphere charged with concentration and quiet determination, the instructor gesturing for her to advance, and she did so with measured confidence, stepping into the rhythm of the exercise, responding to his subtle cues, shifting weight, adjusting stance, executing a combination of defensive and offensive maneuvers with fluidity and intent, her brow furrowed slightly in focus, lips pressed together in concentration, each motion deliberate yet natural, embodying discipline, respect, and mastery, the instructor watching closely, offering encouraging nods and brief verbal guidance, emphasizing control, precision, and mental presence over raw strength, the young martial artist absorbing each suggestion, refining her movements, internalizing the flow of the lesson, the surrounding gym filled with a mixture of admiration, curiosity, and the quiet hum of effort as other students resumed their own exercises, the sunlight streaming through large windows casting elongated shadows across the mats, highlighting the intensity and grace of each movement, the young girl shifting her weight smoothly, her body responding instinctively to maintain balance, executing parries and controlled strikes with a clarity of motion that reflected both learned skill and natural aptitude. The instructor demonstrating a subtle counter, and she mirrored the technique, her posture unwavering, the connection between teacher and student creating an almost tangible energy in the air. A silent dialogue of movement and understanding, the young martial artist feeling a surge of confidence as her practice began to harmonize with the rhythm of instruction, the instructor occasionally interjecting with precise corrections or words of motivation, reinforcing the importance of mindfulness, awareness and control, the gym's atmosphere thick with dedication and the pursuit of mastery. The young martial artist pushing herself through the sequence, feeling her skills sharpen with each repetition, her focus absolute, the instructor's approving gaze reinforcing her determination, the scene capturing the essence of disciplined practice, the balance of guidance and personal effort, the growth of skill through attentive observation, feedback, and dedicated execution, culminating in a vivid demonstration of poise, awareness, and controlled energy, the young martial artist fully engaged, her every movement a testament to the rigorous training, respect for the art, and developing mastery. The session progressing seamlessly as each motion blended into the next, forming an intricate choreography of skill, patience, and determination, the interaction between instructor and student exemplifying mentorship, learning, and the transformative power of disciplined practice. The young martial artist's focus unbroken, each step and pivot contributing to a captivating display of dedication, mastery, and mutual respect, the gym alive with the silent intensity of concentrated effort, creating a compelling and inspiring moment that highlighted the essence of martial arts education. 1-2. The young martial artist paused, catching her breath as the lesson intensified, the gym echoing with the rhythmic sounds of controlled strikes and the soft shuffle of feet across mats, her focus unwavering as she adjusted her stance to mirror the instructor's guidance, every movement calculated, fluid, and precise, reflecting hours of dedication and training, the instructor watching intently, offering subtle corrections with a nod or a brief word, reinforcing the importance of balance, posture, and timing, while the other students in the background continued their drills, some glancing over in admiration at the young girl's technique, the atmosphere charged with concentration and silent encouragement, the sunlight streaming through tall windows casting long shadows on the polished wooden floor, highlighting the curves and angles of each motion, the young martial artist moving through a complex sequence of defensive and offensive maneuvers, her body responding instinctively to the rhythm of the lesson, the instructor stepping in occasionally to demonstrate a subtle adjustment, which she absorbed immediately, refining her execution with renewed confidence, the precision of her strikes and the fluidity of her blocks creating an almost seamless display of skill and awareness, the energy between student and teacher palpable, a silent dialogue of observation, correction, and practice, as the young martial artist pushed herself to maintain focus and control, the sweat on her brow a testament to her determination, each movement an embodiment of discipline, patience, and resilience, the instructor's approving glance reinforcing her commitment, her motions becoming more confident and assured with each repetition, the surrounding students pausing to watch, inspired by the harmony of motion and intent, the young martial artist executing each strike with clarity and purpose, her eyes locked on the instructor, anticipating cues and responding with measured precision, the quiet intensity of the gym amplifying the gravity of each action, her posture unwavering, hands moving with a controlled grace, feet shifting with balance and stability, the instructor offering encouragement and subtle feedback, the young martial artist internalizing every suggestion, her movements becoming more fluid, more confident, more intentional, the scene a vivid tableau of mastery and progress, the interplay of observation, correction, and execution forming a captivating narrative of skill development, patience, and perseverance, the young martial artist's determination shining through as she continued to refine her craft, the instructor's guidance fostering growth and confidence, the energy in the room a harmonious blend of focus, effort, and quiet triumph, each motion a testament to discipline, respect, and the transformative power of consistent practice, the young martial artist fully engaged, her awareness acute, her control precise, the session progressing with fluidity, each sequence of movements blending seamlessly into the next, creating an intricate, dynamic display of dedication, skill, and mutual respect, culminating in a moment that captured the essence of disciplined training, the young martial artist's confidence and mastery visibly increasing, the instructor's presence guiding and reinforcing her journey, the gym alive with the quiet intensity of focused effort and achievement, a vivid illustration of skill, mentorship, and the rewards of persistent, deliberate practice. 1-2. The instructor slowly stepped back and folded his arms, allowing a brief silence to settle across the gym, the kind of silence that naturally draws attention, and one by one the conversations around the training floor faded until only the soft hum of the ventilation system remained. The young martial artist remained in her stance, shoulders relaxed, breathing steady, eyes focused, while several students nearby stopped their own drills entirely, sensing that something important was about to happen. The instructor glanced around the room and smiled slightly before speaking, his voice carrying easily across the mats, explaining that technique was not about strength, size, or appearance, but about discipline, patience, and consistency. Yet there was something in the way he looked at the young girl that suggested he still viewed her as a student with much to prove, and the students seemed to notice it too, some exchanging quick looks before turning their attention back toward the center of the floor. The young martial artist heard every word but did not react. Years of training had taught her that confidence rarely needed an announcement. It revealed itself through preparation, and as she adjusted her footing by only a few inches, she remembered the countless mornings she had arrived before sunrise, the countless evenings she had stayed long after classes ended, practicing footwork while others headed home, repeating movements until they became instinct, refining balance until every motion felt natural, and now all of those hours lived quietly inside her, invisible to everyone except herself. The instructor raised one hand and motioned toward the center mat, inviting her forward for the next exercise, and as they moved into position the students naturally formed a wider circle around them, creating an atmosphere that felt different from the earlier drills, more focused, more expectant. The sunlight pouring through the high windows reflected against the polished floor and illuminated tiny particles of dust floating through the air, giving the scene an almost cinematic quality. The young martial artist took another slow breath and noticed her heartbeat had become remarkably calm, not because she lacked excitement, but because preparation had replaced uncertainty. Across from her the instructor appeared completely comfortable, carrying the confidence of years of experience and the respect that came with a black belt. Yet beneath that confidence there was also curiosity, because every skilled instructor understands that talent sometimes appears where others least expect it. The room grew quieter as the instructor demonstrated the next sequence, a more advanced combination that required timing, awareness, and precise control. Several students immediately looked intimidated by the complexity of the movement, but the young martial artist simply watched, studying every detail, every shift of weight, every angle, every transition, and when the demonstration ended she stepped forward and repeated the entire sequence with surprising smoothness, her movements controlled, balanced, and efficient, causing several observers to glance at one another in surprise. The instructor nodded once, clearly impressed despite himself, and asked her to perform it again, this time slightly faster. She complied without hesitation, her footwork light, her posture disciplined, her focus unwavering, and once again the sequence flowed naturally, earning a few quiet murmurs from the surrounding students. The atmosphere began to change, assumptions slowly giving way to attention, curiosity transforming into respect. And for the first time that morning the instructor's expression shifted ever so slightly, because what had started as a simple demonstration was beginning to reveal something unexpected, something that could not be measured by age, appearance, or first impressions. And as the young martial artist returned to her position and met his gaze without saying a word, a subtle realization seemed to pass across the room. The lesson unfolding before everyone was becoming much larger than martial arts alone. The subtle shift in the room became impossible to ignore as the young martial artist stepped back into position, her breathing calm and measured while the circle of students surrounding the training mat seemed to grow tighter with curiosity, their attention fixed on the quiet confidence she carried, a confidence that did not come from arrogance but from preparation. And across from her the instructor studied her differently now, no longer seeing only a teenager standing in a white uniform, but someone whose discipline had earned a closer look. The afternoon light stretched across the floor in golden bands as the instructor explained the next phase of the exercise, a controlled sparring demonstration designed to showcase timing, awareness, and adaptability rather than power, his voice steady and professional. Yet several students exchanged knowing glances because everyone understood this was the moment they had been waiting for. The young martial artist listened carefully, nodding once, then settled into her stance, feet balanced, shoulders relaxed, eyes focused, her attention narrowing until the sounds around her seemed distant. Years of training had taught her how to remain calm inside pressure, how to let nervous energy pass through without controlling her actions, and as the instructor motioned for the demonstration to begin, the atmosphere inside the gym seemed to pause. The first movements were cautious and deliberate, both participants studying distance and rhythm, shifting lightly across the mat. Neither rushing, neither forcing the moment, the instructor moved with the effortless confidence of experience, demonstrating control through precise footwork and careful positioning, while the young martial artist mirrored each adjustment with surprising ease, her reactions quick but disciplined, her movements economical and efficient. Several students who had expected hesitation from her began leaning forward, noticing details they had previously overlooked. The way she anticipated changes in direction, the way she maintained balance during transitions, the way her eyes remained locked on the instructor's center line instead of following distractions, and slowly the expressions around the room began to change, curiosity giving way to genuine surprise. The instructor advanced the pace slightly, introducing more complexity into the exchange, testing awareness, timing, and decision-making. Yet the young martial artist continued adapting smoothly, never appearing rushed, never appearing overwhelmed, every adjustment flowing naturally into the next. The instructor's eyebrows lifted almost imperceptibly as he realized she was not simply repeating memorized techniques, she was reading situations in real time, understanding the purpose behind each movement, and that realization changed the energy between them. What had started as a simple demonstration was becoming a conversation between two skilled practitioners, one experienced and established, the other young and rapidly proving herself. The student sensed it immediately, whispers spreading along the edge of the mat before fading into silence once more. Nobody wanted to miss what happened next. The young martial artist felt the attention but ignored it, remaining focused entirely on the lesson unfolding before her, each exchange strengthening her confidence, each successful adjustment reinforcing countless hours of unseen work. And as the pace increased again, the instructor finally smiled, not the polite smile of a teacher encouraging a student, but the genuine smile of someone recognizing unexpected talent, a smile that revealed respect beginning to replace assumption. And in that moment the atmosphere inside the gym transformed completely, because everyone watching realized they were witnessing something far more meaningful than a training exercise. They were watching first impressions quietly fall apart in real time. The realization continued spreading through the gym like a quiet current, subtle at first and then impossible to ignore. As the young martial artist maintained her composure while the instructor gradually increased the complexity of the demonstration, the students gathered around the mat no longer watching out of simple curiosity but out of genuine fascination, their eyes following every adjustment, every shift of balance, every decision made in fractions of a second. And what surprised them most was not speed or athleticism but the remarkable calm she displayed under pressure. Her breathing remained steady, her shoulders relaxed, her focus unwavering, while the instructor introduced a new sequence that required anticipation rather than reaction, a challenge that often exposed weaknesses even among advanced students. Yet as he moved through the exercise she appeared to recognize patterns almost immediately, adapting with a natural rhythm that suggested years of disciplined repetition. Several students exchanged astonished glances when she executed the sequence smoothly on her first attempt, and the instructor himself paused for a moment before nodding slowly, the expression on his face revealing growing respect. The sunlight continued pouring through the high windows, illuminating the training floor and casting long reflections across the polished mats, creating an atmosphere that felt almost cinematic. And in the center of it all stood the young martial artist, no longer perceived as the inexperienced participant many had assumed she would be, but as someone steadily redefining expectations with every movement. The instructor stepped forward again and proposed a more dynamic exercise, one designed to test adaptability in real time. And as the demonstration began the pace increased noticeably, students leaned forward, conversations vanished, attention narrowed entirely toward the center of the room. The instructor adjusted direction unexpectedly, introducing variables intended to challenge awareness and timing, but once again she responded with remarkable composure, her footwork efficient, her decisions deliberate, her transitions smooth and controlled, and for the first time a visible reaction swept through the audience, eyebrows lifted, mouths parted slightly, heads turning toward one another as if silently asking the same question. How had they underestimated her so completely? The instructor noticed it as well, and although he continued the exercise his demeanor had changed, the casual confidence from earlier now replaced by genuine concentration. because he was beginning to understand what everyone else was slowly discovering, that beneath her quiet personality existed a level of preparation far beyond what appearances suggested. The young martial artist felt none of the external attention, remaining completely immersed in the moment, focused only on the next movement, the next adjustment, the next lesson unfolding before her, and that focus became her greatest strength, allowing her to perform with a clarity that impressed even the most experienced students watching nearby. The atmosphere inside the gym transformed from expectation into admiration, from assumption into respect, and as the instructor finally stepped back and allowed the sequence to conclude, a brief silence settled across the room before anyone even realized it had happened, because everyone present understood they had just witnessed something unexpected. Not a dramatic victory, not a shocking upset, but something more powerful, the moment when talent, discipline, and preparation quietly revealed themselves and forced an entire room to reconsider what they thought they knew. As the class continued, the young martial artist felt a growing sense of confidence, each movement flowing seamlessly into the next, the rhythm of her practice now deeply synchronized with her instructor's adjustments, the other students observing her every shift, every subtle pivot, their expressions a mixture of surprise and admiration, while the instructor introduced an even more complex set of drills requiring acute spatial awareness, rapid decision-making, and adaptability under pressure. She approached the exercise with a calm determination, her posture straight, eyes focused, shoulders relaxed, yet ready for any change in direction. As the sequence progressed, she began to anticipate the instructor's modifications before they occurred, responding intuitively, almost instinctively, and her movements conveyed precision and intent. The sound of controlled footfalls on the mats and the soft rustle of uniforms filled the air, punctuated by the occasional exhale, as the room seemed to collectively hold its breath. Recognizing that something remarkable was unfolding, the young martial artist's face remained composed, a mask of concentration, yet her eyes sparkled with quiet satisfaction at her mastery. Around the edges of the gym, classmates exchanged glances, whispering admiration for the skill and discipline displayed. The dynamic between the instructor and student had shifted, a visible respect evident in his posture and careful guidance, as he began introducing unpredictable changes to the drill, a challenge designed to test not just skill but anticipation and mental flexibility. She adapted effortlessly, her responses measured and effective, each adjustment a reflection of disciplined practice and acute observation. The audience of peers now fully engaged, leaning forward with interest, the atmosphere electric with anticipation, and despite the attention, the young martial artist maintained her composure, absorbed entirely in the flow of the exercise, her movements both deliberate and fluid. As the instructor finally signaled the conclusion of the sequence, a quiet admiration settled over the room, a recognition of talent and focus that transcended expectation. The young martial artist remained at the center, a picture of calm achievement, her dedication and skill made visible in every subtle motion, and as the students processed what they had witnessed, the sense of inspiration and respect for her performance became palpable, the experience serving as a quiet reminder that discipline, focus, and preparation can often produce results far beyond initial appearances, transforming the perception of peers and mentors alike, and leaving an enduring impression of mastery and poise that lingered long after the session concluded. The next morning, the young martial artist arrived at the dojo with a renewed sense of purpose, her focus sharpened by the previous day's achievements, the sunlight streaming through the high windows casting long, dramatic shadows across the polished wooden floor. Every detail of the environment now noticed, from the subtle creak of the floorboards beneath her feet to the distant hum of traffic outside. She adjusted her uniform with meticulous care, each fold straightened, each tie securely fastened, the crisp sound echoing softly in the quiet space, her mind prepared to absorb every instruction, every nuance. From the instructor who waited at the center of the mat, a tall figure of authority whose posture radiated calm confidence, as he outlined the day's series of exercises, the complexity higher than before, demanding not just precision of movement but heightened awareness of timing and distance. She moved through the drills with a balance of strength and fluidity, her eyes tracking the instructor's motions, anticipating the next demonstration, her body responding instinctively to shifts in direction and tempo, the room alive with the soft rustle of uniforms and the measured thuds of controlled footwork, classmates watching, some murmuring quietly in awe of her poise and consistency, As the instructor introduced a sparring exercise designed to test adaptability under pressure, she positioned herself strategically, reading the subtle cues of her partner, adjusting stance and approach with a blend of caution and confidence, each exchange a silent dialogue of movement, demonstrating not only technique but composure and restraint, the expressions of both students reflecting concentration and respect. The young martial artist's focus unwavering even as the instructor varied intensity and direction. She adapted seamlessly, her breathing steady, eyes calm yet alert, processing every input and reacting with precision, the energy in the room a combination of anticipation, challenge and admiration. As the drill concluded, she paused briefly, acknowledging her partner's effort with a subtle nod, the instructor offering measured praise while setting up the next series of challenges, her mind cataloging lessons learned, refining movements, and building a deeper understanding of the discipline. The environment supportive yet demanding, the young martial artist embracing each moment with determination and insight, aware that every interaction, every adjustment, and every exercise contributed to a broader mastery that extended beyond technique to focus, awareness, and mental clarity. And as the session progressed, the flow of motion, observation, and reflection continued, solidifying skills and cultivating a sense of accomplishment that resonated quietly but powerfully throughout the dojo, leaving both her and the observing peers inspired and engaged. By the time the afternoon session reached its final exercise, the atmosphere inside the dojo had changed completely from what it had been only a day earlier. The students no longer watched the young martial artist with casual curiosity but with genuine admiration, and even the instructor seemed aware of the transformation. His posture relaxed yet attentive as he gathered everyone around the center mat, the sunlight now softer as it filtered through the tall windows, painting long golden reflections across the polished floor. While the quiet hum of the building settled around them like a steady heartbeat, the instructor explained that the final lesson of the day would focus on awareness, adaptability, and trust in one's training, principles that often mattered more than physical ability. And as he spoke, many of the students found themselves glancing toward the young martial artist, remembering how easily they had underestimated her only hours before. She stood calmly among them, hands folded behind her back, her expression composed, showing neither pride nor frustration, only quiet focus. The instructor then invited several advanced students to participate in a rotating demonstration designed to test observation and decision-making, a challenging exercise that demanded concentration and confidence. And one by one the students stepped forward, doing their best to adapt to unexpected changes in rhythm and direction. Some performed well while others struggled under the pressure of being observed. Yet throughout the exercise the young martial artist remained attentive, studying every movement, every adjustment, every mistake and correction, absorbing information the way she always had. And when her turn finally arrived, a noticeable silence settled across the room, not because anyone doubted her anymore, but because everyone wanted to see what she would do next. She stepped onto the mat with the same calm demeanor she had displayed throughout the week, took a steady breath, and listened carefully as the instructor explained the sequence. Then without hesitation, she began, her movements smooth, controlled, and deliberate, transitioning naturally from one decision to the next, adapting to each unexpected variable with remarkable composure. And as the exercise became increasingly complex, requiring quick judgment and awareness of multiple factors at once, she continued responding with confidence, never appearing rushed, never losing balance, never allowing frustration to interrupt her focus. The students watched in amazement as she navigated every challenge with quiet precision, and even the instructor found himself smiling openly now, no longer surprised by her abilities but genuinely impressed by the consistency she displayed. Because talent could create impressive moments, but discipline created reliability, and reliability was far more difficult to achieve. When the exercise finally concluded, a brief silence filled the room before several students began applauding spontaneously. Not because they had been instructed to, but because respect had replaced assumption entirely. The young martial artist seemed almost surprised by the reaction, offering a modest smile before stepping back into line, and the instructor raised a hand to quiet the room before sharing a lesson that seemed directed at everyone present. He explained that true skill often hides behind humility, that potential cannot always be measured at first glance, and that the greatest mistake a person can make is deciding what someone is capable of before giving them the opportunity to show it. The students listened carefully, understanding exactly why those words mattered. and as the young martial artist stood quietly among them, illuminated by the fading afternoon light, she realized that the most important victory had never been proving herself, it had been remaining true to herself while others slowly learned to see what had been there all along. The sun had begun to lower, casting long warm shadows across the dojo floor as the young martial artist prepared for the next stage of her training, the room still filled with the quiet energy of anticipation, and although the earlier exercises had concluded, the atmosphere felt electric, a tension between expectation and accomplishment lingering in the air. She adjusted her stance, focusing on her breathing, every inhale steady, every exhale controlled, and the instructor, noticing her focus, nodded approvingly, reminding the students that mastering oneself was as important as mastering technique. As she moved through a series of precise footwork drills, her eyes never leaving the instructor, she reflected on the lessons of the week, realizing that each moment of challenge had built upon the last, shaping her resilience, patience, and strategic thinking, while her peers observed, occasionally attempting the exercises themselves, learning from both success and error. She maintained a rhythm that balanced speed with accuracy, demonstrating how consistency could outshine raw strength. And when the instructor introduced a new sequence involving rapid defensive responses, the young martial artist absorbed the instructions attentively, then executed each movement with calm determination, responding fluidly to shifting angles, the subtle timing between her steps and hand positions illustrating an advanced understanding of balance and anticipation. The other students watched, some impressed, others inspired to refine their own technique, yet her expression remained serene, a testament to her internal discipline. As the exercise concluded, the instructor commended her focus and adaptability, highlighting how mental clarity often made the difference in dynamic situations. She listened carefully, acknowledging the guidance, aware that growth came from both action and reflection. The final exercise involved a collaborative drill with multiple students paired to respond to unplanned challenges. She engaged with partners respectfully and strategically, demonstrating how cooperation and observation enhance performance, and when a complex scenario required quick decisions, she executed responses with precision, subtly guiding her partner while maintaining her own form. The room now buzzing with admiration for her steady composure, the instructor gathered the group once more to discuss the broader implications of the day's lessons, emphasizing that confidence rooted in preparation and respect for oneself and others was key to both personal development and effective interaction. As the session ended, the young martial artist stepped back, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment and understanding, knowing that the journey of learning was continuous, yet the progress achieved in focus, discipline, and poise would inform every future challenge she encountered. The gym was quiet now, the last echoes of the day's training fading into a soft hum, and the young martial artist stood near the mats, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. Each lesson, each movement, each challenge had built not only her skills but her confidence, and as she adjusted her stance one final time, she felt the culmination of discipline, patience, and determination converging in that singular moment. While her peers cleaned up equipment and exchanged words of encouragement, she focused inward, tracing the steps she had learned, recalling the precise angles, timing, and flow of movements, remembering how each previous sparring session had taught her the importance of reading an opponent, anticipating reactions, and responding with calm precision. And now, as the instructor approached to provide final feedback, she met the gaze with composed attention, ready to absorb insight that would refine her abilities further. The instructor noted how she had integrated lessons from all prior sessions, weaving fluidity, strategic thinking, and self-control into her technique, and as the instructor demonstrated a nuanced defensive sequence, she mirrored it accurately, embodying both the physicality and mental focus required, her expressions revealing concentration without tension. And when the exercise transitioned into collaborative drills with multiple students taking turns challenging and responding to one another, she maintained awareness of her surroundings, providing constructive guidance to her partners while executing her own moves with precision, each step showcasing balance, timing, and controlled force, the collaborative atmosphere emphasizing learning and respect over competition, the young martial artist's calm and confident demeanor serving as a model for others. As the session wound down, she reflected on the growth achieved, not merely in skill but in mental resilience, adaptability, and composure, understanding that mastery involved consistent practice, mindful reflection, and the integration of physical and strategic awareness. And as the day concluded, she left the mats with a sense of accomplishment and clarity, recognizing that each challenge overcome and each lesson learned were not endpoints but stepping stones in a lifelong journey of personal development, a journey that had transformed not only how she moved but how she approached obstacles, how she engaged with peers, and how she understood the value of perseverance, patience, and focus in every aspect of her life. Knowing that the discipline cultivated within the gym would extend far beyond its walls, influencing all future endeavors and interactions, shaping her character and approach to challenges with unwavering dedication, and a sense of calm readiness that would define her path forward.